segregation. The good segregation is when God has told the world to be separate, or segregate itself, the church to segregate itself from the world. In the Lord's eyes, it's not now about the nationality, Jew, female, or Greek, a different thing. In the Old Testament, it was about the race. He told the race of people, the Jews, to live separate and separate themselves from all of the other nations. Let's get Exodus 33 and 16. He told them, I want you to live separate. Exodus 33 and 16. And I'll read that. Exodus 33 and 16. Says, for wherein shall it be known here that I and the people have found grace in the sight? Is it not in thy that thou goest with us? So shall ye be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord is saying to Israel, I want you to be separated. Leviticus 20 and 24. Leviticus 20 and 24. 20 and 24, it says, 20 and 24, but I have said unto you, ye shall inherit their land, and I will give it unto you to possess the land that floweth with milk and honey. And I am the Lord your God, which have separated you from others. So God told Israel, you're separated from everyone else. When we look at the word separation for us, we think about separation in lifestyle, separation in holiness, and the way we dress and different things. But when God spoke of the word separated, he wanted them to actually be a separate nation, a separate people. He's talking about economic. He's talking about living in this world as a whole different component of people outside of the world system. That you're going to be a separate people to yourself. When God now brings in the Jews and the Gentiles and all of that in play, he now calls upon the church to do what he told Israel to do. I want you to be your own nation, and I want you to be separated economically, financially, all of these things. I want you to be separated. I want to kind of go over what this separation would look like and why the church has suffered, because we say we're separate, but we don't have our separate banks. We don't have our separate stores. We don't have our separate economy. And so we're being controlled by the outside world because we need them for dependency. So when God says, come out from among them and be separate, he means literally, I want you to let them have their world and you have your world. I want you to be in this world, but not of the world. Come out from among them and be separate. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. Also, what most churches have done, they have not created an economy. They have not created a society that exists outside of the world. So we got to depend upon them for jobs. We got to depend upon them to eat. We got to depend upon them. And the world is going to turn, because Satan is the God of this world. And you don't think he's going to be the God of this world, going to just let you survive in here without causing problems. So God tells us to separate. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and 16. 2 Corinthians 6, 16. Right? 2 Corinthians 6 and 16. And this is what the church must be positioning itself for in these times. What agreement has the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of living God. As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Verse 17, wherefore come out from among them and be separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive. So God says to the church, come out from them and be separate. So the same separation he gave to Israel, he gives that same separation to the church. Our problem is that we're going to catch ourselves in a real serious condition because most of the church is not separate from the world. We need the government money. We need the government income. And if 80% of the church is being supported by the government and the government shut down their income, that's also 80% of the church income. If everybody's getting food and food stamp from the world, then, so what God says, I want you to be independent. I want you to be a nation. I don't want you to just be a church. I want you to be a nation. 1 Peter chapter 2 and 9, you're supposed to be a nation. And 1 Peter 2 and 9, it says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and a holy nation. I want you to function like a nation. The church doesn't have a nation mindset. It has a mindset that we're in here, but we're not a nation. We don't have our own stores. We don't have our own grocery stores. We don't have our own. But God says, I want you to be a nation that's self-sufficient. When you talk about, when you look at the church in the New Testament and the church in the Old Testament, God conditioned them to incubate and isolate themselves from the world. We go to the world to witness. Notice, come out from amongst them. Then it say, come out. That means, out means there's an exit. There's an exit. There's an entry. There's a separation. The government knows it. That's why they said there's a separation of church and state. But technically, the church has not separated itself where it's able to. That's why a church does not have to pay taxes. Everybody else has to pay taxes, but because the church is its own country or its own state, why would one state pay taxes to another state? Now, individuals have to pay taxes. Businesses have to pay taxes. But because the church is sovereign and because the church is a separate entity, the church is separated. The church is not the same as, the church is not, that's okay, that's fine. The church is not the same as world. We are our own government. And in fact, watch this. Go to the book of Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews 11 chapter. And the 13th verse. All right? Uh-huh.
These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. Uh-huh. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. Uh-huh. But now they desire a better country.
A better country. Uh-huh.
That is, an heavenly country.
So he's telling you now that the saints confess that this is not their country. We have folk, my country tis of thee. My country tis not of thee. Not mine. My country that I come from is heavenly. Everybody with me? It's a heavenly, okay, thing. It's a heavenly country. This country here, this ain't ours. In fact, go to the book of Ephesians chapter 2. But we are treating it that way, and so Ephesians, the second chapter, Ephesians 2, and where people have been taking the money, Ephesians 2 and 19. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints in the household of God. So our citizenship is in another country. Now, the thing is, has the church positioned itself to be a country? Has it got its own banks? Has it got its own stores? Has it got its own clothes? And just like President Trump is having terrorist arguments with these particular countries, we should be, instead of buying from the world, we should be trading with them as a country. Have our own food, have our own stores, and we're trading with them as a country only to build our wealth as the church to be able to provide for its own people, and particularly, and I think that in some places the churches in certain communities do a justice to the community. because they're getting all this tax-free money but not offering nothing to the people that are there. The one thing about us, they don't have to put a gym in this community. We got one that's open to the people. We got food and areas that's open to the people. That's why we as a church, we're getting a tax write-off. The church gets tax write-offs because they're supposed to be taking the burden off of the church for its members and for its community. They're giving you that tax write-off because they say, look, they're going to help carry the load. So with you offering food, with you offering clothes, offering a place for people to stay, that's this nation, the Church of God, the Bibleway nation, providing its services back for the tax write-off that we get. Everybody understand that? That's how it operates. You're not tax-free so the pastor can go and spend the money to buy something for himself. You're tax-free to give a benefit to the community. We got a housing project. We got a feeding project. We got a clothing project. We got things that we're providing. So that's why we as a church must build ourselves up. Now, all these years, the church been giving all these tax write-off and giving the church all these tax benefits, and the church people that have not been using that to build a nation, they're going to be in trouble. Because when all this stuff is cut off and taken, they're not going to be able to be self-sufficient. Yes, ma'am.
Sounding like selfish or what, I don't really know how to put this, but if we're supposed to be building as a nation, a church nation, or building Goshen or whatever, the things that you've been talking about, and you got the church members that got that mindset to build. I think sometimes where I'm at a loss, like you were saying last night, for us to support, you always tell us to support each other. Mm-hmm. But my I don't want to say a problem, but my issue with supporting some of the businesses is that we supporting, but they don't support.
And that's the problem. Because in order for this thing to work, everybody in here, first of all, must provide quality services. That's one. Secondarily, when you provide quality services, you must also support the others. If Sherry was selling greens, you selling meat, and that's what was going on in the Black Wall Street. You selling greens, you selling meat. Now, rather than spending money, we're really trading. So nobody's really spending. So everybody keeping the money internally. So if you had greens for $5 and you had chicken for $5, she give you $5, she give you $5. Essentially, both of y'all just got what y'all got for free. Nobody paid nothing. The world comes and buy from us. So they want a chicken dinner. They brought in. You just traded. So the whole concept is internal trading but external buying. Now watch how that will work. Sherry got a clothing store. You got a material store. Sherry comes buy $10 worth of material. You buy $10 worth of dresses. Nobody's ever spent money to trade it. But the world come and say, I want to buy a dress. So the concept is internal trading. But you can't internal trade if everybody don't come up to the level of their own businesses. Internal trade, external buying. And as you're saying, when people don't support each other, we're externally buying, which we're taking from ourselves, rather than internally trading. So which means I go ahead and get the cow. I own the cow. Then we got the steakhouse. The steakhouse says we're going to buy a cow from you for $1,000. But everybody that work at the steakhouse going to eat steaks from the steakhouse. So eventually, all we're doing is trading with each other because we're never spending because we're always trading. But we charge the other people to buy. And they buying it and they're building our wealth so that we can have more that we can trade from each other. But you can't get people who don't understand business and money to buy into the concept and to do fair about each other. That's why Ananias died. Ananias died because Ananias wasn't going to do it right. He wanted to have an advantage over everybody else. The apostles say, everybody, bring your money in, and we're going to all be equal. That's why it was called, they had all things common. But Ananias didn't want it to be up. They wanted to be upper class. God just wanted all classes to be the same. But they want to be upper class, so they want to have a little extra money. Everybody follow what I'm saying? Yes, ma'am. Give it a mic then.
I just want to piggyback off what Sister Sherry said, because we have a marketplace, and it's a place where everyone can come and display everything that they have so that other people in the world can know what we have so that we can start getting money from the world. They don't know what we have because we haven't displayed all the businesses that are here. Like all the vegetables that some certain saints are growing in their gardens, certain percentage of that can go towards, the store that's being built. But we need to, have that mindset to come together.
That way it comes to mind.
Yeah.
It comes to mind. It comes to mind. When you're trained to be a buyer, when you're trained to be a consumer, you don't understand a business mind. And most people rather buy. Even within the business. There's enough of us internal in Bibleway. We have 2,600 churches, and that's including in Africa. But there's enough for us to buy right here in the state. There's enough for us to get everybody to have a business that we wouldn't have to go out to the world for nothing. Well, first of all, we got to get everybody to support. It's easy to start a bank. I mean, it's a credit union. It's easy to start a credit union, but you got to get everybody to understand how to support one another first. And so that's my teaching this year, is to try to get everybody to understand the mindset that they have. You got churches now who will go to a convention center and pay about $1 million a year at a convention center rather than go to their own church to do it. And the convention center is halfway full. Well, that money can benefit. What has helped us to benefit is that we have our meetings here, convention time. People say, Sharon, but how much did y'all pay out in convention money this year to the people that were vendors? Do you know about how much they paid out just on the average?
Maybe 15,000.
Okay, so during the time of the convention, because we don't go outside and try to use go buy everywhere else and all those things that we got, people coming to this convention, that's 50. How many vendors did you have?
I think it was about 6 or 8.
So
that vend. I have more, but I think it was about 8 that vend during.
So you just take 15,000. I'm just going to use that, and we know it wasn't equally diverse because some probably sold more than the other. But just take $15,000 that's available and divide that by 8. 15,000 by 8. What you have?
1,875.
Well, just say that's an average of people that came to the convention. Instead of leaving with a bill, they left with $1,800 just from vending out front. Just think if the whole church all expended. Not just think if everybody teamed up. Just think if that was clothes. Just think if that was shoes. Just think with all that. I'm sorry, go ahead and share.
And that was about the minimum of what they got. Some of them got more than that. So I mean, it was probably more than $15,000, but that was probably around about the
18.
minimum, about $1,800 for somebody, and that was not selling every day.
And so you get the concept. So that's $15,000 that's not going out into this world, but it stayed in. Guess how that money cycles? Because now they're going to get $1,800, right? They're going to give $180 back to the church, which is tithing. So the church is going to benefit, they're going to benefit, and we keep our money right within ourselves. Now, think if we had the hotel now. So we're trying to stop up the money that's going, that's why we're building the hotel. Now, because the money we're building to spend in the world, just put it within ourselves. Now, we have maybe a couple of thousand people in the convention time. Just say we have a couple of thousand. Say we have, 500 people get rooms. Rooms are what a night, get an average. So let's say $100 a night. 500 times, take 500. We got Airbnb. Just take 500 by 100. What is that, 5,000? Times that by 6 days. How much is that?
30,000.
That's $30,000 that's coming back here, that's not going there, that we can use to build the kingdom. Take all the restaurants that the people going to eat at. All God is telling them, I want you to come out from among them and be separated. But the thing is, people have to get business minded. People can't shop where there is no business. And if you can't get church people to get business minded, I knew this was I was praying because you know I'm a 100% apostolic preacher, and you're gonna hear me speaking more on spiritual things, and I don't talk about on the natural things. And God's been telling me to talk more business and give. So I was feeling my position kind of stray away from this because I don't want to do like some folk who have gotten off course and they get more caught up in prosperity. And what I'm teaching here, this is not a prosperity message. This is a get up and do something, get a business message. What you ought to do, just get up. We got cooks, we got people who can do all those particular things. One Sunday, I've been telling the cooking team they need to do that. They got motivated Sunday, told me they want to get back and start breakfast. One Sunday, Sherry and them did offer dinners for one Sunday over $2,000. Over $3,000 one Sunday. That same money could be, where is that going on all the other Sundays? To the world? 3,000 times 52 is how much? $52 weeks, 3,000.
156,000.
That's 156,000 that we giving the people to eat out there. That 156,000 could go here, and then you can build a bigger and better restaurant. But people in the business world got to advertise. That's internally. That ain't really out in the world. That's people that came here. But the people that we got business in businesses and start a little business, they want to start and stop, jump on, jump off. When they need, they do it. They treating business like a gig or treating business like a hustle. I ain't gonna do it until I need some money. Don't push nothing. You got to get business-minded people. So I was trying to get away from this because I wrote the book. I figured you ought to read the book and you ought to get it from there. I ought to help you. And the Lord said, no, I want you to do this. And he teach the people. Me struggling with it myself because I've been in Moses mode, you know, God telling me to do things. And I'm saying, Lord, this, I'm kind of like, let me do this. You know, I want to teach the spirit things. I want to teach this. So somebody called me from Miami the other day. They called. I think they called Sherry. And they were saying they wanted me to come down to Miami to teach a class on the economic development in the apostolic church. I'm like, oh, Lord. I can't run from it. I mean, they didn't even know that the call that they gave me was God telling me what I needed to do, my assignment. Then I go way up to Mississippi working on the Jesus camp. Brother don't know me. A white gentleman, very nice gentleman. That, you know, I told y'all about that. They were looking at getting the place for addicts, and he said, God said he's shifting you. And he said, I don't know why I'm saying this, but he said, God said he's shifting you. He said, I don't know why. He said, and God said, don't go against the shift. Just wherever he shift, you go. So I don't know why I said that. He said, you can take it or leave it however you want to say it, but I don't usually do this, but that's what God told me. I said, oh, Lord. Ah, goodness. So I don't want to be in no way of belly. I'm just it. I can't afford to get in no stomach or no way. I can't do that. I got to. So I'm saying to God, I'm going to teach you people because it's a hard task. Do you know it's harder to get people to get business minded than it is for them to get saved? I preach that water baptism in Jesus' name, get the Holy Ghost, they put in them clothes and dive in the pool. Come up speaking in tongues. But to get them to have a better life and to be conformed, to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, to get them out of poverty into wealth, that's a challenge. Because they've been living that way all their life. They've been doing that all their life. Just see what we could do as a church if we did what you did Sunday continuously. You're going to eat anyway, eat from your own. That goes back to that perfection mind. The business owners, they got to get a perfected mind so they can give us a good product. The ones that are buying, they got to get a good mind so they can support. So what you're saying is so true. Yes, ma'am.
Pastor, selling those dinners, that was a lot of work, but it was so rewarding for me, just for the mere fact that I knew where it was going, and what it was for. And you know, I don't, to be honest, see, I have a strategy when I do stuff, especially when he have me to be over certain stuff. I got a strategy. You know, yes, I'm competitive, but I know my competitiveness is gonna drive other people.
That's right.
And I know what I be doing. I just drive other people to bring
to get everybody in.
To get everybody in.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't care if you win or not. But
I
you
don't.
Do. What you do?
I mean, honestly, I am competitive.
But that is not the greatest. The greater goal is to receive the funding,
right,
and not necessarily win. But she competition too.
I am competitive, and I like to win.
And we didn't get my family didn't get not one medal, and I'm gonna look competitive too. So next year I'll be looking at you with them little medals. They walk around that big old thing. I'm coming y'all way. But you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. When people see that competitiveness and they see it's good, they jump in. And you use that now to get everybody to be a part of what's going on. And then although we all competing, we actually completing. So Belcher taught me something. Ella Belcher taught me to say, we don't compete, we complete. And really, that's in the end of the day, we're completing each other. And then we're completing the goal. You know, and so if everybody can get that, because what's really a blessing for us in business and Bibleway, you ain't got to get the customers. They're already here. Sunday morning, we already, Bibleway, and we're doing what we've already been doing somewhere else. So that's important. I want to go to the book of Genesis chapter 45, and we'll be studying Goshen. 45 and 1. This is the mindset that we have to come. And I think I have that conference call with them. Did they send it? Did they call yet? Okay, 1 o'clock. All right, so we're going to study the land of Goshen and how that was impacted and how that was done. The book of Genesis 45 and 1. Keyshawn says something that I think is very important. Even when I study our services, if everybody in the service just share our service and tag, just the members, they're watching it. You're already watching it. Why don't you push like and tag and share? That's simple. It's hard to get folk to do that. Mindset. So God told, Joseph told all his brothers, and this is what God told them, and we'll get it there. When they first got liberated in Israel, in Egypt, God said, the first thing I want you to do is get your own little area called Goshen. Read Genesis 45 and 1, and then this is what our study will be on this week, separation, 45 and 1.
Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians and the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I am Joseph. Doeth my father yet live? And his brethren could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near. And he said, I am Joseph thy brother, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life.
To preserve life.
For these 2 years hath the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years, in the which there shall neither be earing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prepostery in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God.
I love this, and I just stop here so that you can see when God used people to do bad things to get you where you want you. Joseph says, you guys throw me in the pit, but it wasn't you that brought me here. This is God. Oh, that's a powerful thing, because sometimes we think that people have done stuff to us. You put me in this condition. Joseph said, no, brothers, I want you to know. Read that verse again.
So now it is not you that had sent me hither.
It's not you that sent me here.
But God.
He just used you as an instrument. Hallelujah. What way to get rid of your anger against what people have done to you? What able is it to get rid of your frustration on how they're treated when you realize it ain't you? You put me in the pit, but God used you to send me where he wanted me. Look what he says,
And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh.
Yes.
And the Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say unto him, Thus saith thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that thou hast. And there I will nourish thee. For yet there are 5 years of famine.
He said, all right, there's a famine in Egypt, but if you come to Goshen, you're going to be nourished. And so while the 5 years of famine are going on, you don't have to worry. There's no famine in Goshen. There's a famine in Egypt, but there's no famine in Goshen, because Goshen is incubated from the economy of Egypt. Goshen is not in a famine. Egypt is. But that little piece of land that Joseph got, that he's brought inside, it's not going through anything. Wouldn't it be a blessing if the world, which represents Egypt, is going through, but Goshen is isolated? That's what the church has to do. We got to build Goshen so that we don't go through when the world goes through. Amen? All right? That was the last scripture. I just wanted to share that. There was a question or comment, Sister Tisa. Well, there's a couple of things. You can say the comment again so everybody can hear you. I don't think you got to cut it on.
Wish that we can get more people at our church to participate at the marketplace, because it does more than one thing. It strategizes for us to be getting the world's money into our system.
So there's a couple of things we have to do. Before we get them there, we got to get them there. And you're right. We need to get them there, but there's a big job been on people in poverty. They ain't there yet. And they ain't there because they ain't there. So now my job is teaching, because those will say, Romans chapter 12, I beseech you, brother, in the mercy of God, to present your body, living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. Be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So transformation comes from the mind. So we're now teaching a different mindset. I gave everybody a book to read it to get better. Some ain't even read the book. You got to get in your mind. Your mind has to change before your actions change. Amen? God bless you. I love you all. Amen. There was a question, Gerard? No. All right. God bless you all. Thank God for you.